What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I finally have a bourbon for you guys, and it's none other than one of the most famous, well decorated with trophies and awards and gold medals, Elijah Craig 12-year-old. Okay, this is a small batch. It's called Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and there's so many rules with American whiskey. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey means that they're not allowed to add sugar or color or different things like that. Whereas if it just says bourbon whiskey, there's all these other stipulations and rules. Elijah Craig takes pride in putting out a straight single cask or small batch. They have an 18-year-old. There's a 21-year-old out there. They're very expensive. This is a very good price for what you're getting. The Elijah 12 is $46 Canadian. I believe in the UK you pay probably a little bit more than we do as far as pounds to dollars, because of the exchange rate. But yeah, so I think it was, when I saw it on Master of Malt, it was about 35 pounds, which would actually be about $70 Canadian if I bought it from Master of Malt. Obviously, the better choice is buying it from here. You could probably get it at an even better price in the United States. Okay, about the whiskey. So it's 47% alcohol. For you Americans out there, that's 94 proof. I'm not sure why Canada and the United States have all these different scales of measurement, considering they're neighboring countries. Canada shares the scales of measurement with the UK, well, with the rest of the world, the metric system, whereas the States still has the imperial system, I believe. Anyway, we do centimeters, meters, they do feet and inches. We do alcohol percentage, and they do alcohol proof. I don't know, whatever, to each their own. There's no right or wrong, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the story behind the naming of Elijah Craig. So Heavenly Hills Distillery is the company that owns Elijah Craig, and Elijah Craig, the whiskey, was named after the reverend who apparently invented bourbon whiskey. And the way he did that was he used to distill various whiskeys in the 1700s, and one of his warehouses burnt pretty much down. Some of the casks that survived were heavily charred. He used those casks to age his new made whiskey, and the product resulted in a reddish type whiskey. If those of you who have a fish tank know that charcoal does a very good job at filtering water, filtering various liquids. And that seems to be what happens with most bourbon whiskeys. They burn the barrels, brand new barrels, they burn them to the point of charcoal. And then they put their new make spirit in these barrels and age them. And it does a great job of refining the product, making it smooth and elegant, all right? So that's the major difference between a Canadian whiskey and a bourbon, is the level of char on the actual barrels. Because a lot of Canadian whiskeys also use new make barrels, but the difference is the level of char. A lot of Canadian whiskeys also use ex-bourbon barrels. But I think, in order for it to be considered a bourbon, it has to be new make barrels that are charred, okay? So, done my spiel about that, on to the whiskey, because that's what you guys care about. For $46, this blows my mind. Okay, it's I have some notes here. That's why I keep looking towards this. And if you hear the water dripping in the background, that's my fish tank. I have a 125-gallon fish tank. A few people have asked me in the past what that noise is. It sounds like it's raining, kind of. That's the filter on my fish tank. I keep the water level a little lower so that there's more oxygen in the tank. Anyway, back to the lovely bourbon I have in my hands here. So, you get that char right away. The smokiness of the whiskey is directly a result of those charred new make barrels. Okay? Because of that, you get a burnt sugar smell as well. Okay? Peach cobbler on the nose, definitely. And roasted marshmallow. Okay? It's fruity as well. Like I said, peach cobbler, I'm also picking up a lot of banana. Okay? And that's common with a lot of bourbons. You pick up a ton of banana, especially with a gentleman's Jack or, you know, Jack Daniels in general. You get that banana, that heavy banana smell. You get a little bit of banana here. It's more of a caramelized banana. Okay, on the palate, %. It's ridiculously smooth. This is not my first bottle of Elijah Craig 12-year-old, but I've tried it with water. I've tried it without. I prefer it without. So I'm not gonna add water for you. You do notice changes. You lose a little bit of the smokiness, which I like and I don't want to lose, so I don't add water. You lose a little bit of its fruitiness as well. It emphasizes the sweetness when you add water, so those are the differences, okay? That roasted marshmallow continues through onto the palate. The fruitiness, that peach roasted peach dessert, like a peach cobbler, creamy peaches. That smokiness is reminiscent of like a toasted pecan. And that banana comes very strong at the end, and it's a caramelized, very sweet, sugary banana, okay? This is excellent stuff. If you've never tried a bourbon, I highly recommend that you start with Elijah Craig 12-year-old. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love bourbon after that. It's a nice contrast to your everyday Scotch or Canadian whiskey. This is one of my favorite spirits. It's fantastic. It's really good stuff. I'm gonna give this a solid A. I hope one day I can try the 18-year-old and the 21-year-old, because it's not always the case that the younger version is the worst of the series, but if that's the case in this situation, I can't imagine how good that 18-year-old and 21-year-old is. So I really hope I can get my hands on those one day. Solid A again. If you like this video, like and subscribe. If you're a first-time watcher, like I said, subscribe. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your reviews, guys. It means a lot to me. And if you have any questions, comments below, please put them in. Also, if you have any recommendations that you would like me to try and review, I'd love to do that for you guys. So please feel free to leave a comment below. You can find me on Whisky in the Six on Instagram and at Whisky_in_the_6 on Twitter. Go Raptors. I believe they're playing tonight. And then tomorrow, another episode of Game of Thrones. So far, they have not disappointed. Jon Snow is alive. All right? Cheers, guys.